In Spain, legal sales of cannabis are worth 60 million euros a year. Enterprising individuals are tapping into loopholes in the law. David, for instance, a 38-year-old businessman. Judas, a 37-year-old quality control consultant. And Alberto, a 32-year-old biochemist. We're in Barcelona, northeastern Spain. A growing number come to smoke cannabis totally legally. There are more than 300 cannabis clubs. This is one of the most famous. Owner David Madignon is an Armenian who began in the cannabis business 4 years ago when he noticed the loopholes in the Spanish law.
In most of Europe, smoking in an enclosed space is banned, even if it's private. Here you can, and it's legal. Spanish constitutional law stipulates that an adult over 21 is capable and has a right to do what he wants with his own health, providing it doesn't bother other people.
Y tiene su derecho de hacer lo que quiere con su salud. Si no perturbe a los demás.
The cannabis clubs advertise themselves as simple consumer associations, but their licenses cost around 1 million euros each. 95% of the investors are foreigners.
Las grandes empresas, como no, claro que sí ven mucho potencial.
Big companies have recognized the market's potential. In the United States, those who got into this business are already millionaires, such as those who sell seeds to the producers. It's an enormous business.
In this 400 square meter loft in the city centre, David employs 17 people. His clientele is exclusive.
Hello.
It costs 50 euros a year to become a member. This lawyer works a few streets away and prefers to remain anonymous.
This is the store cupboard. The weed is kept here, and you select what you're going to smoke later.
He pays between 7 to 12 euros a gram of cannabis.
I bought a ready-rolled joint. They give it to you in a small packet like this.
The club has 2,400 members. Some clubs in Spain have more than 10,000 members. Most of those attracted aren't the type of people you'd normally associate with the world of narcotics. Judas is 37 years old. Here clean-shaven, he grew up in Switzerland and has been a cannabis consultant for the last 2 years.
We've got a meeting now with the quality control head of an association to advise him on how to improve the quality of the cannabis available to his members.
Judas is one of the stars of the cannabis scene in Spain. Like a top sommelier, he tests the qualities of different varieties of cannabis. First, the aroma.
The first thing that strikes me is the intensity of the aromas. The amnesia variety is very good, but your green poison is a bit bland.
Yes, it suffered from the heat.
I think your growers could also do with taking better care of the pruning of the plants.
Judas gets out his microscope to check the composition of the plant. Finally, he gives his verdict.
To improve the aroma of this plant, carbohydrates should have been added.
Judas's expert opinion is an indispensable aid to the club's owners.
having the advice of a specialist, analyzing my plants, in order to deal with diseases, fungi, or a crop that's cut too early, helps me understand the potential of my products.
El estar madura significa que tiene un potencial más o menos.
Judas also advises other specialist cannabis firms. He charges up to €3,000 per contract. One of his clients is the startup Weed Maps. In this office, it's quite normal for the workers to smoke. Weed Maps is a guide for cannabis consumers.
This is a map of Spain with all the cannabis clubs. Our application locates you and gives you the address of the nearest club.
Hey, buenos días.
In the United States, Weed Maps makes $18 million a year. The company chose Spain a year and a half ago for its first European bureau.
We're starting out in Spain, but the goal is to expand across Europe. In fact, we're opening a second office up in Berlin.
How you doing, man? Nice to meet you. You need a glass of water?
The team gets a visit from one of their business partners, a biologist working in Berlin.
I studied the endocannabinoid system for several years on the university, and then I left the university and I started a company, so I got a scientific collaboration with a researcher in Madrid. And I come down here, medical cannabis flowers to pharmacies. So I come to Spain. In Europe, Spain has the most interesting culture around cannabis, medical and recreational uses.
Nevertheless, cannabis production is still illegal in Spain. That doesn't stop cannabis plantations flourishing across the country. But their locations are closely guarded secrets and cameras aren't invited inside. Unless they belong to the pro-cannabis web channel Marijuana Television.
Today we've come to visit the plantation of a cannabis club. The site is surrounded by a wall, there are dogs and everything is fenced off to avoid theft and police raids.
Some think such precautions will soon be a thing of the past, since the industry contributes more and more to the Spanish economy. The cannabis lobby hopes to persuade politicians to legalize the business.
Hey, hola.
Hi, how are you?
¿Qué tal?
Oriol Casals is a lawyer who lobbies for the sector.
Pues mira, aquí preparan...
Is that our parliamentary bill?
Aquí millo.
It certainly is.
Aquí millo. No us en sortireu.
He's meeting with Beverages, a deputy in the Catalan parliament who supports his cause.
There are unions of smokers here who have been going for a long time. They're powerful, and they've allowed us to get through to the politicians in Catalonia.
Yes, they're lobbying us, and the bill to legalise cannabis is moving through the system fast. We've already heard from several experts, it's moving fast.
Yes, and in terms of revenues, for instance, it's huge. We're talking around €1 billion a year. I'm not talking about just the clubs, but also what the consumers generate. Here in Catalonia, there are more than 500,000 of them.
Estamos hablando de más de 500.000 personas.
Sí, vale. Para que yo tú quedas.
Since January, Oriol Casals has mobilized the cannabis lobby. $50,000 people signed a petition calling on deputies to make cannabis production and use fully legal in Catalonia. A new law could be approved before summer, the most liberal of its kind in Europe. In Madrid, the cannabis industry is less organised, but investors have already arrived in the Spanish capital. and are focusing on the health uses of the drug. Laboratories are racing to develop the cannabis business.
Can you pass me a test tube?
Jorge Soto is an engineer from the Polytechnic University of Madrid. He set up Ananda a year ago.
We've had a huge increase in demand to analyze cannabis varieties. It's not just coming from growers or club owners. We've also got lots of clients from the pharmaceutical business, researchers and scientists. We also work with public administrations or patient associations, and then with the cannabis club.
Jorge now makes 80% of his turnover from analysing this growing business. And the contracts keep coming in.
Look, I've got a sample here. This strain is amnesia. I think we've got quite a few clients waiting, so put it in the fridge and start the analysis tomorrow.
Alberto Cantalapiedra is a chemist who analyses cannabis. He's drawn up a rigorous process for testing the plant.
I put the sample in an ultrasound bath for 15 minutes. It destroys the plant's seal and frees all the juices.
Thanks to their cutting-edge equipment, the chemists will be able to identify the genetic profile of the plant and its effects on organisms, both therapeutic and recreational.
We can see that the THC ratio in the plant is very high. That means this plant is going to have high psychoactive effects. Others might have a higher CBD ratio, which has anti-epileptic and antidepressive effects.
Modern medicine is a long way from discovering the full potential of cannabis. In the United States, the leaders in this field are already listed companies, and Spanish firms want to be the European pioneers.